There is blood in my mouth. I can tell there is. I can tell there's some blood in my mouth. Oh, immediately. Wait, hang on. Yeah. Yes. Methinks. I think I got it. Where the hell did I get 61 subscribers from? Okay. Uh, Sekai jump scare. Give me one. That's not my art stream. Hello? Okay. I have chat open and everything, and we're actually gonna break down my art process today. Oh my god, y'all, because I came up with an idea for a drawing for my friend. I don't know what I'm doing though. I don't have this drawing quite down in my head, but this is how we're gonna do it. So first of all, I'm taking what I learned doing some anatomy earlier and just gonna apply it. So she is a woman, therefore I'm going to draw her with tighter shoulders, as in they're not going to be as far out as I would a man. I don't draw men anyways, I don't know why I'm specifying this. And I'm not sure what particular pose I'm going to have her in. I think I might have like that, and the other one. Something like this. I just don't have the ability with how small I'm working right now to make this any bigger. No, I might go steal some inspiration from Mizuki. And this one particular Mizuki card I have, meaning I will have to open my Sekai. I don't actually remember the name of it. Wait, no, that's not it. Due to filter this by Mizuki. I fear my friend would be very upset. Ah, crap, I have to go to Mastery. There we go. Get your ass over here, Mizuki. I am not sure what exact outfit I'm gonna give. Actually, And that's a little tricky. You know what? Yeah, I'll do Mizuki's. I'll do something similar to Mizuki's outfit in that. Meaning I can't look at chat. Do give me a moment. Okay, so when you bend your arm like this, you're showing the inside the entire time. So that's what I'm going to keep in mind as I'm drawing this. That the inside is what's being shown. And then for this area here, you're only seeing the top of both little bits. And teeny bit of foreshortening and everything. Now the head is kind of small, and that's the reason that we plan things out with a thumbnail. Oh, you know what? Actually, I'll have to do that. I pray that this particular friend does not join stream and just watches and gets the attack I'm about to do on them completely spoiled. I hope you're not here. Wait, I have this costume. Let me just throw it on her. Just come on, Mizuki. I'm gonna put you in a costume. Because I'm borrowing it. That's it? Yes. Well, I don't have the fuck-ass hairstyle, so Mizuki can just stay blind for all I care. Don't tell my friend. I do want to make this a little bit more poofy. I probably should have done this on a completely different canvas, because I just know this is going to blow up my laptop. My poor laptop is going to explode from all this abuse I'm putting it through. It's like, please close out your other drawings. I'm like, nah. So, when it comes to my art process, it usually does not have a linear, like, train of thought, at least, that I go through as I'm planning these illustrations out. They're mostly pretty random. Why am I doing that? I literally have a fancy ass drawing tablet. That means I don't have to hit that. To reach my hand over and hit them. I do not want to make it go up the neck because I just don't like drawing things that go up the neck. More importantly, I don't think it's at an angle where you can see that. So the whole point of me drawing so small like this is so I can make big corrections without needing to move a ton of stuff around and destroy my tablet. And also it forces me to keep things simple. Forces me to put in the KISS rule. You know what the KISS rule is? Keep it simple, stupid. So I'm just continuing to break down to just give myself a little leeway here. I'm gonna widen make the figure a little bigger, a little bigger. Just because to me it looks like she's so thin she's gonna fucking die. And I'd really rather not have that look like that, so putting a corset on and everything just to kind of match this vibe. And then in just a moment I will go through this with a bit more detail by sizing it up a teeny tiny bit. To be honest, I think my thumbnail is actually too small because it's no longer letting me put the amount of detail that I want in to my thumbnail, but we can always fix that by sizing it up and removing some of that unnecessary detail. And by unnecessary, I mean it's unnecessary on a thumbnail level. Remember, I don't have to go and hit button. I don't have to go and manually hit that kind of stuff. I'm gonna make a green squid as a reference to one of our server members from the server that I met this person. And we started fighting each other with art. Now that really teeny tiny thumbnail is done, look how big that is compared to the rest of my canvas. I think it's one of the smallest thumbnails I've ever done. I'm gonna grab my transform tool and I'm gonna scale it up. Why are you clawing the back of my neck? scaling it up just a little bit more, and then I'm about to go over it again with my I can't fucking see color underneath. Um, so, one of the things I want to make sure of with this is that the hair is properly, it's kind of showing that she's not standing. So to do that, I'm gonna have it go in all different directions. That's what I'm gonna start this off with. Or at least not like, or at least start making this thumbnail bigger and adding a bit more detail. I realize I put that ear way on the face. I will tackle the ears a little. Just a moment. I don't know. I cannot hit buttons. I'm definitely going to change this face shape in a minute. But for now, it's accomplishing what I need it to accomplish, which is just being a placeholder for me to be able to put all my little details in. Which then comes my least favorite thing. Ruffles. Why am I doing this to myself? I don't know. Just kind of sloppily doing this because it's not my real sketch. Someone is speaking in a server. Thank you for the ideas. I will certainly be sure to steal them. I don't want them all to go in the same direction. There's a little thing that I have. That's not good. And I want there to be a little bit more variety in the hair. Meaning that I'm going to get rid of this strand and opt to just make it come down like that instead. Oh, I was terrified that the smoke detectors were about to go off. Shit, this looks wrong because there's this weird portion here. Like that. The shape. Now, normally I don't do this many rounds on my thumbnail. Usually I just do one thumbnail and then pass it off and then start bulking up the sketch and everything, but I drew my thumbnail too small in this one. So my thumbnail was way too small, which is what prompted this drawing to end up looking a little different. Or have a slightly different thing. I need to remember to just hit those buttons. This inadvertently is forcing me to use the what's it button? What do you call it? The undo button. Jesus, wow, that took a long time. Let me just spit out. It's forcing me to use the undo button a lot less, which is good for me. You don't want to get too reliant on your undo button, methinks. Now, figure out how to do the hand on this side. So this part's curled, comes up. This part goes back like this. Normally, I cannot use my own hands for reference. Why? Because I have a messed up finger. My fingers does not work properly. But for this, it does not require me to use that finger. Well, it's its own separate little thingamabobber. So this line is the knuckle line. I'm going to drag this down and then define the knuckles in these areas. It should be smaller, a little smaller so that looks bigger, and I should actually break this down to little pieces. That, wow, that has a really awful curve. It looks like she dislocated her finger. We're looking at this from a teeny bit of an angle. I might actually just end up doing something completely different. Oh wait, I know what's wrong. So I usually line this up. I think the middle of the finger should line up about there. Hi hi. For pieces like these where the nose is straight up, I have an easier time placing down the actual little dot that I usually do for the nose. This is actually where the edge of the eye is, meaning I need to bring this down a little bit. I'm pretty tired, even though I haven't done anything all day. except drawing. You'd think I'd be tired of drawing by now, but no. That seems to never happen. Why is my brush not the right size? Another thing I notice is that the crown of the head is a little too high up. And I want to replace this with just a regular strand of hair. Now that the head's slightly tilted, it makes the accidental tilt I did in the hair look a little more intentional. Which I'm all for hiding the mistakes I do in my making my artwork. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna go through and do a little value chart on this, or I'm just gonna leave it as is. I do want to fix where's the position of the squid. I think that's where I'll put it. Little thing. I might have to move the squid again. Put the wings at a lower angle than they appear on the reference sheet to give her a bit more of a tired look on one side, and then I'll just tuck it there because there's no room on the other side for that. Okay. I'm not gonna move this squid actually. Can't have sharks and squids in real life, so I figured I'd just give her some plushies. I'm just trying to fill this negative space right now. Nice. I think I've got it. Now, this to the top right corner, we're gonna just scale it up. Move it around a little bit. Fit my canvas a little more. There we go. And actually off this I can go straight into line art if I really wanted to. I don't know if you can... My thumbnailing, yes I am. This was my thumbnail. Oh, you can't see that. This is my first thumbnail here. And I drew it too small. I drew my thumbnail way too small. So I ended up going over with the second pass. And this is what I ended up with. And I am going to change this to that. Oh, geez. That's too small. I guess that works. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to paint, if I'm going to paint this, or if I'm just going to do my non-painted style, like my just normal ass style. So if I paint this is going to take forever. But it would be a good example of breaking down my coloring process. I haven't painted in a hot minute. Sorry, Judy. We'll tackle that later. In case you're wondering why I'm not lining in black, that's because it's just easier for me to line on top using pink. And then I'm going to switch everything to black and set the there to multiply. That's my plan. How much do I like that? That's fine. My nav. My nav's also super small. Hands later as well. I just want to focus on the hair right now because that's my main point of interest. So I've actually drawn another one of my friend's characters for a different attack. And she revenged it. And I was like, okay, I see how it is. Even though she told me about the fact that she was going to revenge the attack, I was like, okay, okay, I see how it is. I see how it is. And was like, okay, you cannot hide from me. And now we're here. I actually don't like that. So sometimes I don't stick to my thumbnail, and I end up going a little bit astray for the better of the piece. Which means moving stuff around occasionally, adding extra lines that shouldn't be there, that weren't there in my thumbnail, like in the hair here. Doing all of that, separating some pieces to try and make the piece look a little better, or get my image across just a little bit more. I'm not entirely sure why I did that. And you'll see in a moment, but once, well, not maybe not in a moment because these tend to take forever. But in a minute, I will, at the end of the piece, or not maybe, probably when I'm painting it, it is color changing, and that's another reason why I don't line in black with it, because it means that I can't see where the color jitter is, and I have to go through and manually find it, and just hope and pray, because otherwise it won't turn out fully black. The other reason I don't line in black with this brush. Not only is this brush very finicky, to the point where sometimes it hinders my ability to put lines down, it's also really weird to use. The color jitter threw me for a loop when I first started using this brush. Actually, now I can do that. know why I'm reaching for this. There we go. I think that's almost it for the hair. Yeah, that's it for the hair. I'm gonna do the rest of the facial features on a different layer. Same goes for the hands and stuff. So, purple, and we're gonna get lining. Yeah, it's way more obvious. The color jitter's way more obvious with the purple. No, I'll just shade it. Do you have nails? You do not have nails. Perfect. Means I don't have to put extra effort in. Adding details I don't need to add, like at all. Wow, that took way longer than it should have on that. Because God forbid I keep things simple. It's also the reason why I didn't do another sketch pass, because then it would mean that I'd have to draw even more details, because knowing me, I'd add more in another pass. So I intended to keep this pretty simple. As you can tell by the ruffles, that's not happening. Oh, I could do that, or I could just paint it in. Also, this liner is about to become a suggestion and not an actual part of the piece. I'm doing this more so as a third sketch than I am to actually line this, because I think I am going to paint it. And this gives me a choice of whether or not I would truly like to sit here and paint this, or if I just want to line it and be done with my life. Normally I go into these illustrations with the intention of like either painting or just doing it normally, drawing the way I normally would. But this one was very just random. I did not plan this drawing at all. It just popped into my head and I was like, okay, we're gonna draw it. So that I don't keep doom scrolling on Artfight. And by doom scrolling, I mean just constantly checking and looking for new characters to attack. Because I guess have a vendetta against my hit list. Even though I have a list of characters to attack, my brain just goes, nah, I don't feel like it. So... fuck you. My life is me versus my hit list, I swear to God. Because I just went and checked Artfight. And guess what I didn't do? Look at my hit list. Did not look at my hit list. And instead, I just decided to go, I'll figure it out. So I desperately need to change stuff on my YouTube because I don't want that picture to the thumbnail for this one, I don't want that to be a permanent thing. Because it's been the thumbnail for my past 3 streams and it's ugly. It's ugly old art. Oh my god, these ruffles. Oh my god. I'm not excited. You know what? If I was gonna paint this, I should have done a value chart. Should have actually thought about this. I'm doing something that I have not done for my ruffles yet, which is kind of trying to highlight them with this little edge piece here. You can see I didn't do that on the other side. That's because I wasn't sure if I wanted to. So I'm just guessing. Why is that line there? That shouldn't be there. You know what? I'll erase it later. It's not that big of a deal. Oh. I thought my canvas rotated. I mean, I'm definitely leaning more towards painting this. Just because I don't want to try on my line art anymore. Wants to be lazy on line art and then proceeds to do something that's way harder. But, I mean, I need to practice color theory anyway, don't I? So hopefully it doesn't turn out looking ugly. Love it. I'm sitting here drawing a vampire girl, and my mom's out there talking to people about cancer. What? That doesn't look bad. This should help me when I inevitably go to paint this. I'm acting like I'm marching to death. And that's kind of how it feels, not gonna lie. Real question is, how am I gonna start painting this? I want to change that really quickly, because that's a tangent. And I don't like making tangent lines on my artwork, because they're annoying and look bad. It's not a beginner it is, I guess it's a beginner mistake to do tangent lines, but I don't really consider them to be a mistake. I just don't like the way they look on my art, because I don't know how to use them properly. Most things in art aren't a mistake, they're just improper usage of something. You don't make mistakes, we have happy little accidents. We call those children. Sorry. Oops. Actually, I meant to undo that, but that also works as well. Sometimes it's impossible to avoid making tangent lines, or lines that look like tangent lines, like here, with the middle finger. It's just impossible with the angle that the middle finger's at. Though I do establish more of a palm line here by doing, oh, not that. By just kind of defining the palms. When I look at my palm, I'm doing this. Actually, the thumb should be at the forefront. Unless I'm doing this. But since what I'm showing... Oh no, I guess... No, no matter what, that thumb's gonna be at the forefront. This is why you use references, and not be like me. And just fucking freehand shit, because this would mean that the hand position is swapped. Yeah, that's good enough. That's not good enough, actually. I hate that. I don't hate it. It's just weird. It looks like I don't know how to do hands. And while that might be true, you can still pretend like I know how to do hands. Wait a minute, how does this go? This should just be straight down. This should be... And then really, how much of this middle finger would you see? I could do it like this, where it comes up here. I'm gonna go get a reference, actually. I don't want to deal with the way that that looks. Give me one moment to get a reference. And really, I can't spell. Surely. Wait a minute. Hello, Project Sekai. I actually happen to have a card for this. I'm gonna use Mastery because I don't do Mastery. I don't know what the... Toya, I need to look at your card real quick. I can't zoom in. Sekai, why? Sekai, please. Sekai, please. Pretty, please. Project Sekai, thank you. I need to zoom in on... Need to steal for references. That's not the case. Okay, I have my reference up and ready. The nice part is that I can just tilt my screen. Okay, so the way that this goes in Project Sekai, you do need to be a little careful because he has media hands. Well, more obtuse angle. This cannot be comfortable to hold your fingers in a position like this. And then just like that. And then up here. Thank you, Toya. It's not the palm line, is it? It's not. And then something akin to this. However, just going off the way fingers work, I am luckily capable of changing the way these fingers look a little bit. And my tablet turned off. This is great. I don't have a reference anymore, but that's okay because I don't need it. I think I have this down enough. Joint does not come to an incredibly sharp point, so that's why I'm rounding it out right at that little corner there. I'm going to bring this thumb back a little bit, keeping it roughly the same size and length. I'm actually going to fix the back part a little bit. There we go. And that's how I do hands, I guess. I don't actually have a good formula for doing hands. I usually just guess, quite frankly. I just kind of guess and hope that it works. I happen to know enough about hands to be able to draw them pretty well. But for the most part, there is no real set formula I use for this kind of thing. My big thing is just getting references. The only problem that I have with using myself as a reference, as I mentioned earlier, is that I have a busted pinky on both of my fingers, except it's way more busted on one. So that's why I can't use myself as a reference. Debating if there's anything else I want to add to this before I go in and start painting. I gotta fix up the face first. Beautiful. How am I gonna paint the eyes? I just realized. I have not painted eyes yet in my new style. Ow, ow, my finger. We ready to turn this line art into a suggestion? I'm not ready. Because I worked kind of hard on this line art, but that's just how life goes when you are an idiot and don't plan things out. This is why you plan your illustrations, and I will die on the hill that you should plan your illustrations if they're this complicated. Because then you'll end up like me and crying inside because you did all this complicated line art and it looks real good and everything, and then your brain goes, no, fuck you, you're gonna paint this. That's not how clothing folds work, but I suck at folding. Suck at clothes. Ugh. Although I do want to I do want to slim the face a little bit more. both sides. I also did not do a value chart for this, but I don't think I will need to, just because of the fact that this should be a pretty easy paint job. Alrighty, let's merge these layers down and not turn a mask on, and let's get ready. Alright, so I am going to do this with 3 values, which means I'm going to turn off. Oh my god, I got flashbanged! Oh my god, this is the most I've had, 5 people. Oh my god, my eyes, they burn, they hurt. Yeah, I don't blame them for leaving. Alrighty. Let's not. So actually what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to turn on this little outline so that I can actually see what I'm doing a little bit more easily. Hello? And go through with my lasso tool. I don't actually need to try that hard on this top part. As long as I can fill it all in, should be good. There we go. There's one little section. I think I'm going to put this whole neck bit in shadow. So the way that I'm going to do this actually is I'm going to break it down into, I'm going to have different layers be different colors. And then when I'm done with each piece, I'm going to merge those layers down. Oh, you know what? Actually, I can keep this in the mid-tone. I'm gonna undo that. Let me set this to multiply. So I can make sure that I caught it underneath. So, because when I set this to multiply, you'll see that the line art, quote unquote, will change color depending on how far underneath I put my colors. And it's the point of multiply, it makes the colors underneath it look darker. I'm gonna crush this cat. I'm gonna crush you, Judy. So I'm not exactly sure whether or not I want to make the clothes lighter or the hair lighter. I think I'm gonna make the clothes the lightest part of this drawing and have the hair be the darkest. And have everything else. Ooh, I don't know what I'm gonna have. I'm gonna break everything else down into. I might just keep the hair in mid-tone so that it stands out. There's just so much hair. There is a lot of hair on this character in this drawing, so if I do keep it in mid-tone, I'll have to be very careful to shade it properly. What are you doing munching crunching in my ear, Judy? But what keeping the hair in a mid-tone allows me to do is perfect. It allows me to make the background the darkest part of the drawing with little to no fear. Right now I'm not trying too hard, just roughly blocking out colors. Since I'm gonna paint this I'm mostly gonna paint this in a 3-tone and then slap my values over this. I am going to paint the background after I'm done painting the... Oh, Judy. After I am done painting the character. Sometimes I wonder if I should make a picture of my cat, the Be Right Back screen, because then it would be better to look. It would be better to look at. Be cuter to look at, actually. She's just the prettiest of babies. Isn't that right, Judith? Isn't that right, Judy Patootie? I should probably put my glasses on because I've been drawing and using this laptop for a long time, and it's gonna hurt my eyeballs. You can tell where I started giving up on trying to keep it bright. I just realized I used the wrong midtone color. Oops. Now, if I go back to my Shoujo Rai art and I pull up this midtone thingamabobber, you can see why I'm using these 3 colors. Because it looks better. If you do that, I can't find it. There it is. Okay, now, in combination of my lasso tool for big parts and going back in with my pen to smooth things out a little more. I'm just gonna color in the cloak. Probably should be going over this with something else, but I actually prefer that. It's just the way that looks. Again, this has turned into more of a suggestion than line art. They roughly show me where I should be coloring. I think I'm gonna quit my job early. Oh no, I still have 2 whole weeks of July to go back to work. This should be fun. I think I'm having a better time just spending all day drawing than I am going to work. It's not like I really need money. I'm not paying rent or shit. Anything. Oh, beauty. Beauty. Careful, baby. Hi, honey. Hi, pretty girl. Hi. Hello, my beautiful lady. You're adorable. There's a kitty rubbing up against my legs. She is very, very cute. And you just knocked my tablet down. Thanks, Bean. Right after I call you cute, you be a pain. Don't walk on my keyboard. Don't do it. Don't close my laptop either, because then you'll end my stream and my drawing. This cat is being a pain in my ass, but I love her very much. Yes, I love you very much, Judy Patootie. Patootie. Alright, and now it's time for the obligatory looking at art fight. Seeing what the ratio is. Oh, mystery's still falling behind. And I'm petting a cat. Petting a cat. Grabbed my cat and she just stopped. Didn't even look at me. I love you. Dude, she's loud. You're a very loud cat. No, she didn't like that. Dude, were you aware that you're the cutest thing to exist? That I'm very happy whenever I see you. But I feel significantly less sad when you exist in my presence. Judy? Mm. I don't know if I'm gonna quit my job. I'm not going out tonight. I don't want to, quite frankly. You sound like a pig sniffing through all my stuff. And then she comes over and bothers me. You're adorable. You're very cute. I want to share the progress on this artwork, but oh, I know what I can do. I can show the hand and be like, look at what I stole, quote unquote, what I referenced Project Sekai for. I'm gonna do that really quick. back to drawing. I'm sorry, it's just my server nickname. Makes me laugh. I'm not gonna say what it is because I have dignity. Nope. I remember I was drawing once out in public, and it's something you should never do. Draw in public, I swear to God. I had someone come up to me and be like, "Oh my God, you're tracing." I'm like, "No, I'm lining my sketch." And she's like, and this lady was like, "Oh, and you made that bottom on that drawing on the bottom?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no shit." And she was like, "But you're tracing over the drawing." And I'm like, "Yes, yeah, yes, ma'am. That's called line art. That's called I'm taking these very rough lines I have lying around on a canvas and I'm making them look cleaner and less like random lines on a canvas." And well, I didn't really say that last part, but I was like, "That's I'm just putting cleaner lines over my sketch, ma'am." This is this is just a random lady too. I was explaining her how line art works, and it was kind of annoying, not gonna lie. But I mean, I don't know. I I guess people don't understand the concept of a sketch because I've had my dad say that same thing before. Like, "Oh my God, who's you're tracing over a drawing?" And I'm like, "But I, I, I drew what I'm tracing over, Dad." It's the dumbest fucking conversations I've ever had with some people. Okay. I know I have to go back through and clean this up. So I'll do that. And then we can move on to coloring or painting, I suppose. Now you get to see, once I'm done with this, you get to see the wonderful world of value painting. I don't really like value painting because it forces me to use only 3 colors to make this a fully shaded piece, save for me using very bright white for the eyes because that's how I do my eyeballs. I'm thinking I do my eyes like Mika Picasso. Because I was looking at some of her art today. I felt really inspired by her, so I'm probably going to color like that. What am I doing? I don't know who Mika Picasso is. She's known for creating these wonderfully bright illustrations that also have tons of visual clarity in them. So even though they're very bright and colorful, they're still very easy to read somehow. Love Mika Picasso's art. It's so appealing and beautiful, and it is quite literally just some of my favorite art out there to exist. One of my favorite artists, for sure. I'm just going through and cleaning up everything right now. Well, I'm not exactly going to stick incredibly hard to this coloring job. I'm not going to. I want it to be clean, relatively clean, in order for me to get a better idea what I'm drawing, of how I'm going to paint this actually. Essentially, think of what I'm doing right now as going through and making it easier for me to understand what I'm painting. Because some of these areas are, because of how difficult they are, even I can't really go through, even though I've drawn, this is my drawing, I'm not entirely sure what exactly these points of my drawing are until I'm going through and cleaning them up. What are you doing? You want to take this opportunity to correct that. Can you stop it, Judy? Yeah, just sit in the box like a normal cat. Jesus. Stop. Stop. Judy. Judy. Hey. That's it. Can't believe you're making me do this. She's messing around with the box for this drawing tablet, and I'm not particularly happy that she's doing that because I'm not entirely sure what exactly it is she's doing. 200 pen nibs that they gave me. Very thankful. I want to get rid of this box too. Just because I don't need it. Why do you do this to me, honey? I'm gonna keep that box. Well, at least I took the opportunity to get rid of all the plastic lying around. But I swear to God, this cat just there manifests plastic to show up in my room. Because I swear to God, I've been chewing on plastic that I had no idea was even in my room because I haven't opened anything with plastic on it. Oh, and then she goes and chews on my trash bags. Are you shitting me? Do I have a big ass pimple on my nose? I wonder if it's easier to break down my art in a video instead of streaming the process. Just because of the fact that it's boring to sit here and watch me paint and talk about my cat. I swear to God, Judy. Can you behave yourself? Can you make my life just easier for just a little bit, honey? I forgot I did not enable streamer mode. I got kind of jump scared by that Discord notification. This is just a straight line. Wait, yeah, no, I definitely don't like that. Don't like how sharp some of these corners are. Oh, I love how it's so clear on one side, and then you look at the other side, and it's just fucking disgusting. It's been pretty good using the tablet. I fear I just keep forgetting that I have buttons on the side to do the work for me of reaching over. Beyond that, I think it's been pretty good. I still haven't gotten uh n- I still haven't heard back from the support team about the fact that fix I can't change my stylus buttons, but honestly, it's who the fuck is honking? Um, but honestly, it hasn't been that big of a deal because as you can see, I'm functioning pretty fine without my ability to pan the screen a lot. What the fuck was I doing over here? I might just do bigger cutouts and then go back through and fix them in a moment. I want to do all of this in one stream so that we don't have to deal with the issue of me starting another stream. However, I am in pain for reasons I will not say because they're gross. Well, actually, it shouldn't be treated as gross, but I don't want to talk about it. But also, I won't let it get me down because I'm a stubborn little asshole. Cutting, 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 cutting. Putting these shapes out. Yeah, fuck it, I give up. We're gonna give up on that area. For now. Mayhaps I'll come back to it. Christ, wow. Alright. I cannot get this for the life of me. Bitch went slower. Sorry, I'm messing with Bean. I love you, Judy. This cat is so freaking cute. I wish I could take a video of her, but I don't have a camera. A good camera. Oh, you're the prettiest thing ever. You're the prettiest baby. I have to not have my hand on one side of the screen so I can pet her. Can't see it right now. I'm petting her with my left hand and drawing with my right. I wonder if my mic would ever be able, if I can get a microphone that'll pick up her purring. Because her purring is incredibly cute. It's pretty loud for a cat, too. It's not super duper loud, but it's pretty loud. Okay, that's it for now. Don't. God damn it. She's guilt tripping me. The cat is guilt tripping me into petting her more. I do love you, Judy Patootie. Apparently there's a cat in the world that purrs at 100 decibels, which is kind of a scary thought. So that's only 20 decibels lower than Jackhammer. Why are you walking on my keyboard? I need to be able to draw. Please don't walk on that. What happens at night when if that cat goes up to you and starts fucking purring? It's just 100 decibels of purrs in your ear. How bad do your ears hurt after that? Some of these areas I think I can correct. Oh, without, I think I can correct most of these areas without my little guide. But I'll turn it back on because it looks better if I have been correcting it to the guide, and less to my own interest. Open to another section. Oh, I wanted to end this, but so you might notice that well, might notice, this is all I've been doing. I am doing my brush strokes very quickly. And the reason I'm doing that is because I tend to have more clean looking lines the faster I draw. Why? I think it's because I use my arm more than I use my wrist when I'm drawing, because I used to be a first-person shooter player, as you might have seen on my other channel. But my lines are far cleaner because I am using my arm. This is my theory. I'm using my arm to draw more than I'm using my wrist, so it's just cleaner to do it to use faster strokes. I don't know if that made any sense whatsoever, actually. Sorry, I know you don't like it when I move around on the beanbag. My little purr machine. This is the happiest cat. You're Judy. Okay. don't have to have this super clean when I paint. So I'm gonna go through and change it when I paint it anyway. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Oh, I just have to fix this section and I don't want to. I want to start painting. I haven't painted in a hot minute and been wanting to paint for a little bit. Not in real life. I hate painting in real life. It's the worst thing ever. Now, it's kind of weird, but I think I'm going to paint this with my airbrush. Probably going to paint this using the airbrush tool because I like it better than using a paint tool. I hate the paint tools with burning passion because they suck to use. Even the gouache ones do. In real life, I absolutely adore using gouache, even though it's super fucking expensive. It's like 15 bucks a tube last I checked at the art supply store. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna ignore the eye for now since that's a completely separate issue. Okay, now, the way I'm going to start painting this is I'm going to turn this multiply layer down really far so that I can still see it and use it as a guideline, but you can pretty clearly see what's underneath it. I don't know why it swapped to that. That's not quite what I want. I would like my airbrush not that big. That's too dark. I do fear that painting this with this airbrush is going to be a little painful, but I'm already painting. What's the worst that could happen? I need to create a button that swaps between my primary and my secondary so that I actually use it. So use my secondary color as more than just a placeholder. The reason I am using the airbrush beyond just the fact that I don't like the paint tools is that it allows me to better control my opacity. I might switch to using the oil paint in just a minute, but I absolutely hate that brush because it's fucking annoying. See, I'm far more easily controlling my opacity with this brush than I would be if I were using a paintbrush because the paintbrushes, for some reason, are under the pretense that you are using straight wet paint instead of letting it dry a little bit or something. I don't know. Now, there was something pretty important that I picked up on earlier while I was watching some PCAT videos, and that is that you don't want to draw a shadow within a shadow. which is kind of what I used to do. I used to use this, like, if I were to use this final color that I have here, I would have drawn over this. And that would have been essentially a shadow within a shadow, and you don't want that. It did, and I can definitely tell that it looked weird because when I go back to some of my old artwork where I'm doing that, you can definitely tell I'm drawing with that method, and it looks really awkward. And sometimes I want really solid colors here, so I'm just going to go through a little bit with my lasso tool, keeping kind of far from my airbrush. Hopefully at some point I can create a wheel for this. I'm kind of overestimating the area of my shadow here, just so I can cut it down and have it look a little bit more natural. Maybe I should have set an easier to read light source. Alright, so I guess I'm going to really quickly establish my light source. I want it to come from this top corner here. That's where I want the light to hit. So everything down this way is going to be darker. Now, I happened to see an art trick where it was like, oh, if you don't know where your shadow is, draw your drawing from where your light source, from the angle where your light source is, and anywhere that you can't see is your shadow. And I was like, wow, that's a great suggestion. If only I could, do perspective. Only I was really good at both anatomy and perspective. Hmm. Not sure how solid that color is, but I'll check it in a moment. So the area under these ruffles, I'm going to only make dark regardless of whether or not a light source would hit it, because it'll look weird if it's not only dark on the inside, and what it'll do is that it'll end up creating the optical illusion that this part is in front, and you don't want that. Which, actually, I should redraw one of my old optical illusions. I miss drawing them. So I'm not gonna go through and mess with that ruffle because it'll be hitting the light. Instead, I'm going to come down here and shade this area real quick. I'm blocking out my shadows first. Then I will go through and kind of lighten them out, make them a little bit more natural looking. It's kind of, well, it is pretty easy to get hard edges in real life. I don't like using them just because I prefer the softer look of rendering over the harder look of cell shading. I do love cell shading though. I think if done correctly, it can look really nice. I'm just not at that level yet. I feel where I can cell shade in an appealing way. Now, this is where I'm gonna break my fashion and actually use the smudge tool. If I go to, well, it's not called the smudge tool, it's called the blend tool, and I happen to have a Painterly blender in the presets. And I'm just going to blend this thing out. You can't really see it that well, but I am blending this very lightly. And now it'll look way softer and way more natural, instead of looking like I'm an idiot and can't do color, even though that is the case. Cannot color for shit. I am going to try to avoid using the Painterly blender if I can, to kind of have this focus more on the airbrush. Oh my god, flashbang. But if I have an area that looks okay, that I don't really want to mess around with too much with the airbrush, I'll go through and use that Painterly blender. It is a little weird because this is the brightest area, but I will still go through and use a hint of pretty bright gray and kind of sharpen this edge here. I want this edge to be very sharp. Then I need to go through here. If you're wondering why I put that there, I'm gonna fix my palette in a moment so that I don't have to keep grabbing from different sides. Then I am trying to go in the direction of the curve here, even though I wasn't doing that earlier. I'm still going to rotate my canvas to better match this curve. It still looks weird, so I'm gonna take the blender out. That's not my blender. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm gonna take the blender and I am going to just blend this in. I'm not a good painter. I feel like I should say that now. I'm an awful painter, but I can paint. I'm capable of painting, I'm not very good at it though. I'm gonna go do that for all of these ruffles here. That was a lot better, actually. Now that I had a better idea of what I was doing. It's been a little while since I've painted like this, so that's why I'm a little rusty on exactly what I'm doing. It is very bright. These ruffles here, I'm not that big of a fan of that, to be completely honest. So I might go back through later on and make that highlight area a little darker. Just because it stands out too much for my liking. And I'll tackle those areas later. My painting is not a linear process. I feel the need to mention that. One moment. Well, not really back. Done talking to my mother. For now, at least. For now, I'm back. I'm going to come down here, paint this area. If you're wondering about it bleeding over the lines, I'm going to fix that in a moment. For now, I'm more focused on just kind of blocking these colors out here. This is a very pretty clothing fold. It's probably not accurate to how clothing works, but because I have not done any fold studies at all, but I like the way it looks at least. This is basically what I'm doing. Just painting. Painting all these little folds and stuff in. And I am cheating a little bit by using the selection and keeping things exactly on the light gray area, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so now I have to kind of interpret a little bit. I have to guess, essentially, where these clothing really, really, Judy. God, just no, get off my keyboard. Go around, go the other way. Like herding cats. What if border collie? No, I just told you not to walk on that. I have to kind of, back to what I was doing. I have to kind of guess where these folds are going. And she's still hitting my keyboard. There are certain areas on this drawing I did not put line art on just because I wasn't sure of what exactly I was going to do with those areas, and this bottom bit here is one of them. So now I'm actually going to go against my original line art because I realized that this fold should probably go a different direction. So occasionally I can make corrections like that. And then taking my light color, and I'm going to come over this. Pretty sure that dragged over. Sometimes I'm grabbing colors that are in between for these little areas. I'm just kind of color picking on the surrounding area. And then here, I feel it's too harsh of a transition. Through, cleaning that bit up. Same thing with here. I'm just kind of following the direction of some of these areas I painted before. Obviously underneath here, connect that. Reach a little further up here. So I can smooth that back down. Since it is in the shadow, this part should be a shadow here. I'm going to go through and connect these areas here. And from here, this is what the suggestion of drawing it from a way harder perspective, drawing it from the perspective of your light source. This is what this was for, to try and determine which areas would be in the shadow. correcting this clothing fold just makes it bad looking. And this one as well. Next up, this area. It is a curve. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this area pretty dark and then lighten it as we go. And then down here, I'm going to do a bit of a harder shadow against this area. Color picking this area really helps. What are you trying to eat, Judy? You know you can't eat that, right? Still just kind of smoothing that out a little bit. Before I move on to detailing that, I am going to put this in the light. Smooth that out a little bit. Do want to accentuate this to make this look more like it's drooping. Also, I do want to fix this area here so that it looks a little rounder. There you go. There you go. Rounded it out. Try not to put too much of this in the light. Okay, for now, that's where I'm gonna leave that, and we're gonna come back to the lace, or the lace, a little later. I'm gonna go back to these ruffles. They are very small. I'm going to slap and go over just a little bit with my base color to make them a little softer. I am going to go back to using this tool. Actually, let me show you how you can cheat this because we are using a drawing program. This is what I like to do. I like to roughly highlight the area I'm working with or select it. Just a rough selection. It doesn't have to be very good. And now I'm just gonna rotate my canvas real quick. There we go. And I have completely cheated my way out of bothering to sit down and do all that. I'm probably gonna go back and do that for all of these as well. Just because, well, yes, I want to paint. In real life, you'd probably use masking tape to do something like that, actually, now that I think about it. So let me do this again. And I do it one at a time so that they don't overlap. And if they do end up looking a little bit like that, you can either just increase your selection area, like this, decrease your brush size, or you can blend it later on. Doing art fight again, seeing what's going on. Back from checking art fight. Oh, I have to sneeze. Okay. Jesus Christ, do I have to sneeze or not? I think that is the right color. I might not be able to finish all of this in one day. Okay, so now these are too far from the light source to put them in the light, so I'm going to ignore them. No, please don't crop it. Thank you. Again, not exactly following my my sketch. Sometimes it looks better. Sometimes I figure out a way that it'll look better that I didn't originally put in my sketch. Same goes for here. And those are basically most of the ruffles done. However, I am going to use the same technique for these I did before. Except these guys are a little different because the darkness comes from both the top and the bottom. I don't need to highlight that, I don't think. I'm just kind of cleaning this area up. There we go. I'm gonna take a break from clothes because I hate clothes. And instead, we're gonna work a little bit on the face. Now, I am going to select the face completely separately. Doesn't have to be perfect just because I'm not working in these top areas, and I'm going to go back through and fix the hair anyway. I'm going to be doing something pretty different from how I'm doing the face with the hair. So I'm not particularly concerned about overlaps. So right there, that's kind of where my light source is coming from. However, that's not actually correct. So now we get to pull up my worst enemy, the Asaro head. I have a screenshot of it actually. I hate the Asaro head. Hate it. Why is the Asaro head my worst enemy? Well, because I hate drawing it. I hate the way it looks. I hate having to use it for art studies as well. It's probably one of the most annoying things to exist on my computer. I do not have a screenshot of it apparently, and I need to go get a picture of the Asaro head. I hate it. Now, normally you use this thing called the light for light studies, but I can't be bothered to do that. So, what are we going to learn from the Asaro head? Well, we're going to see that there's a big plane right here. And then we'll see that there's another plane that touches the nose right about there. The top of the lip should also be in the light as well, because remember where our light source is coming from. It's coming from the top over here. So right now I am putting this light in and I'm disregarding where everything else on the canvas is so that I can get these light sources correctly blocked out. I think I'm not using the right color. No, I am. It just kind of looks a little funky, I guess. And because of where the light source is, this top plane on the nose is also going to be in the light. Now, the reason that you do the studies with the Asaro head that I have not done is that you don't have to look at him. It's primarily so you can do this just from straight memory, but I can't be bothered to do those studies. Don't be like me. Do your art studies. So again, I'm just not caring where the placement of the hair is. I'm ignoring it completely. There is another plane on the face here that should also be in the light, meaning that the top of the lip should be completely in the light here. Right under here there should be a teeny bit of light, but I'm not really going to count it too much because of the way that the jaw is set. Although I am going to minorly highlight this area for aesthetic purposes. Now where am I going to put shadows? I'm going to keep following the Asaro head, so what it's telling me, what the Asaro head tells me, is that this area should be completely in shadow. And again, not worrying about where everything else is placed. The area underneath the nose should be in shadow, though not as extreme. I'm gonna put this in extreme shadow. This plane of the cheek should be kind of in shadow. Oh, Clippy don't want to work. And when your highlight and your shadow touch each other directly, what that does is that it creates the sharp edge that I don't want. I'm going to tone all of this shading and highlighting down. Speaking of the Sakai. And the dog is barking. So, what else is the Asura Hood telling me about where the light is? Well, this entire area should be in shadow, and this area, though that's kind of implied. If you know anything about how I draw, you should know that that's already going to be in shadow. And now I'm going to take into account a little bit of where the hair is and everything. Now I'm going to go through and kind of break these areas up into what parts are what the light is really hitting and what part is the light kind of softly hitting. So that's what I'm about to go through and do. This is why you typically see those anime shots where they have just a little triangle underneath the eye, because that is where it places. To correct these highlights, I am not going to I'm not going to use my other color. I'm going to lightly create another color. And this one works well. Oh, that would be why, because I'm using this and not using the wrong color as my reference. Again, I'm going to turn that off. When I turn this layer off, you can immediately see the difference. And you can start more clearly seeing each individual little plane on the face. I'm going to turn that off. That's not the right color. And obviously, a lot of this is going to get completely overwritten when I go and take the hair into account. This area should be completely soft, so I'm going to go over it with my airbrush a little bit. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to recolor this all with the darker color I made. Smooth that cheek out. Smoothing all of this out. And I just lost my lighter color. This is great. And breaking these areas up a little bit. Give me that color back and we're gonna swap to this. So what I'm gonna do in order to save this color that I have is I'm gonna go off to the side. I'm going to just slap it right there. So when I need that color, I will turn that layer back on and color pick it. But for now, I'm not going to need it. Just swap to using my dark color because I am about to make a little. I'm about to fix this area up. I do want to create the illusion of a sharper nose. I am going to go in a little darker right here and smooth that out. Hi, Judy. Just because I'm painting this does not mean I'm not going to put any line art on it, by the way. I am still going to put a teeny tiny bit of line art back on this, and I'm just highlighting this bottom lip here. It's not the right color, I don't think. Actually, it's fine if that doesn't touch. Directly, almost directly underneath that, I'm going to darken that to highlight the lips. Tiny highlight on the chin, and I think for now, I have to smooth that out a little bit since it's not really. So just kind of smoothing things out a little bit and making it a little easier to read. And I'm going to go through With my reference, I am going to color the back of the mouth. You don't have to paint realistically either. If you really wanted to, you can just ignore all these little face planes that I made and everything on the SRO head. You don't have to use it. I do, just because of the fact that I feel my art looks better when I do use it. But really, you don't have to. It's also important for me to note that the mouth isn't quite symmetrical. If I look through here, this area is much bigger than the other one, so I'm going to go through and correct that real quick. Even though I did just follow my sketch for that, the middle of the lip I'm also noticing isn't quite where I want it to be. I am going to take the brightest color and I am going to paint some teeth in really quickly, just because I kind of want to add them. Cheating a little bit by using some of by using my lasso tool, but I do that. Yeah. Okay. Now I actually have an area to color pick off of for this. I've also realized the mouth is just sitting way too high up. It's the reason I can't really separate that lip, so I am going to just pop it on a different layer. If you just fill it in, I can fix it in just a moment though. Let me do that. Where I'm going to cut and paste it, and underneath it. Like right there. We just correct this with the airbrush really quickly. It does look a lot better. The eyes are gonna look ugly. Just because it's the eyes, and I do that very differently than I do the other areas of the face. The eyes get special treatment. Correcting this top lip area a little bit. thing that I just realized about this drawing is that when you're smiling or you have your mouth open, it doesn't come to a sharp corner. And I'm not entirely sure why I drew that. I started painting this. I kept that corner pretty sharp, but I don't want to keep that. Kind of hard making the mouth look good without the symmetry ruler. But when I paint, I don't want to rely on the symmetry ruler. Also have not touched the tooth at all, which I probably should have. Since the tooth does mark the midpoint, does mark a point on the mouth. This corner of the this side of the mouth is too big. So it looks stretched from the angle that it's at. While in theory this side should be longer because it's facing away from the camera. I don't that probably doesn't make any sense, but if you think about it in terms of like perspective terms, it should make sense, methinks. That part of the mouth should also just be lower. I'm just kind of color picking around and not quite sticking to my original 3 values. Okay, now I think I'm gonna actually work with the hair. I will have to flip the canvas back because I'm not entirely sure. Put some of this stuff if I don't have it in the original angle. In case you're wondering, I'm reaching over, even though I kind of beat myself up for not for doing that earlier, but that's because I don't have a keybind for my airbrush. This should also sit further back over here than it should in this area. The eyes are not sitting too high up. I want to know, even though even in my on my head on my end, it looks like they're sitting too far up. The way that I know that is that, well, I just haven't colored in the under eyelash. So because I haven't colored that in, it's really difficult to see and deduce that that's where the eye ends. So Finally, I think I'm done with messing around with the mouth. Oh, that took a while. Now it's time for me to mess around with the hair. I'm not excited to paint the hair. And I am actually going to switch to a paintbrush for the hair. I'm going to switch to my thin gouache brush. The reason I am switching to a brush, even though I don't think that's exactly what I want to use. I might want to use the brush pen. Yes, I do. The reason I am switching for the hair is because it requires more painterly-like strokes to make look right. I don't recommend painting on one layer. I'm doing it because I'm lazy and can't be bothered to make other layers. But in general, I would not recommend painting on one layer unless you're very good at painting, which I am not. I am not good at painting at all. So why am I painting on one layer? Laziness. I'm just being really fucking lazy, that's all you need to know. By the way, in case you've ever wanted to know how softly I hold my pen, or at least how lightly I am coming on the screen here. Oh, you know what? I'm an idiot. I completely forgot. I actually want to undo all of this. No, you know what? I'll keep those other little strands. Completely forgot that I did not want to use that color. This was the color I wanted to use. I don't know why I was doing all that shit in the bottom layer. Oh, that would have made my life so much easier if I just, remembered how mid three tones work. See, now I remembered part of it so that I can use this color, the darker color on my palette for shading, but I guess I just forgot that I have a lighter color to highlight with. Hi, baby. Yes. couple minutes, I'm probably gonna end off the stream here. Just because I'm getting tired and my back hurts, and I'm probably gonna end up having dinners pretty soon. Coming up on this little area over here. You can see that this part I have marked in my sketch folds underneath like a ribbon. So most of this is going to be in shadow. What? Judy, Judy, no. Judy, 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 Judy. Hey. No, I don't want to print. Stamp cat. What did you do? Bruh. No. Thank you. Don't get mad at me. You were walking all over my stuff. No. Oh my god, Luca, 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 Luca. Can you guys tell I like Megadine Luca? I wonder who my favorite Vocaloid could possibly be. Okay. Finish up a little bit of the hair here. And after this, I'm gonna hop off for tonight. I might not start streaming tomorrow until I finish painting in grayscale. Just because it's boring to watch me paint, I think. I don't know if you guys are enjoying watching me paint. But I mean, I think it's pretty boring to watch me paint. So it's just me drawing lines on a canvas. Let's just be honest. It's more fun to see the finished product, I feel. But, yeah, that's probably gonna be it for tonight. So, yeah. Alrighty. Bye, y'all.